spending. The histogram and box plot show the average amount of money in thousands of dollars spent on each person in the country for healthcare in 34 countries. Okay, so these two things I think are representing the same data. All right, so one value in the set is an outlier. Which one is it, and what is its approximate value? Okay, so if you look at these graphs, you might be able to tell, well, all right, tell me what you think the outlier is. Give me an approximate number of what you think it is. Go ahead. Okay, so if you don't know, an outlier is basically just a number that is kind of like far away from the data set, right? Like if you're, usually spend, let's say if you're going out to buy lunch every day and usually you spend $6 on lunch. And then one day you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go somewhere really fancy and I spend $50. So that would be an outlier for you because that's not an amount of money that you usually spend, okay? So in this case, so in thousands of dollars, right? So the outlier is right here. It's out here, right? So that number is probably about it's probably about like $9,500, something like that. If you put like 9.5 or something, that's fine. But it's somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000. Okay. All right. By one rule for deciding a value is an outlier if it is more than 1.5 times the interquartile range greater than Q3. Okay, so if I take the interquartile range and I multiply it by 1.5, and it's that much bigger than the third quartile, that means that we would consider it an outlier. So show on the box plot whether or not this value meets the definition of an outlier. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the interquartile range for this data set. So what's the interquartile range? Give me an approximate value. Go ahead. All right, so it looks like it's about, so the third quartile is like a little less than 5, and so the third quartile is a little less than 5, and the first quartile is a little bit greater than 2. So I'm gonna say like, Q3 is like, I don't know, let's say 4.75, something like that, and then Q1 is about 2.25. That would make the interquartile range 2.5 if I subtract. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to multiply that number by 1.5, and if I do that, I'm going to get 3.75. Okay, so if any number is more than 3.75 away from the third quartile, that makes it an outlier. So if I add the third quartile, so 4.75, I would get 8.5. So yeah, so yes, this is an outlier because it's bigger than 8.5. Okay, that will do it, and I'll see you next time.